So welcome to the podcast, Sara and Natty Bo. I'm so pleased to have you with me finally this evening. So how are you?
Hi, Malin.
Yeah.
We are okay, yes.
Yeah.
I want to know more about you because I love your style. I'm also a very vintage woman this age. So when I met you actually on a quite fun way on the streets in London. Me in Sweden and you in London over FaceTime. And that was the first time I met you. So, and I fell in love with you directly, of course. So I just wonder, how did you two first meet and what drew you together as artists and as people?
So we met because of music, I guess. We met many years ago. We were just friends for first. And we met at Gaz's Rock and Blues,
Gaz's Rock and Blue.
which is actually...
Is that in London?
In Soho,
is in London, yes. And
okay.
And is a club where Natty has been DJing for how many years?
Around 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Every Thursday.
I went there many years ago because I'm from Lisbon originally, but I used to come often to London to attend music festivals or see art exhibitions. And one night I was in London and went to Gaz's Rock and Blues, and it was the first time we met. We were introduced by a common friend called Tim Elsa Poppin that used to put on amazing swing club night. Sadly, he's not with us anymore, but he was the one who introduced us, and then we became friends. And years later, we actually got together when Natty came to visit me in Lisbon.
Oh, that's a beautiful story. You're so beautiful together. So, Sara, can you tell us about the story how Señorita Scarlett was born?
Yes, sure. So, many years ago, when I used to live in Lisbon, and when I was still in fine art school, I was in a group. Well, okay, so let me think. So this was around 2006, 2007, back in Lisbon, and I was very sad about there was not much going on in Lisbon in terms of vintage music and, style and shops and everything. So at the time I was with an ex-partner, and we decided to create a club night called Caixo de Cabaret, which was inspired in the times of the old Lisbon of 1940s, 50s, when there was like a lot of cabarets in Lisbon, and there would be like the review nights and vaudeville and burlesque. So we wanted to kind of combine this idea of exploring this idea of interesting Lisbon with nice cabarets, with all the glamour of the old Hollywood days and the music, because there would be a few things happening in Lisbon at the time, but they were very focused just in rockabilly music. And we wanted something a bit more wider than that, because we also like rhythm and blues and swing and Latin music like mambo and other rhythms from the 40s and 50s. And so we wanted to bring that together. So we created this group. We were about 8 people, 9 people sometimes. And it was all made of fashion. By the cinema was the biggest inspiration, and the music, and that's when Señorita Scarlett was created, which is this burlesque persona I invented. So that was it.
So what is it about the 1930s to 1960s lifestyle that resonates so deeply, with both of you?
Shall I
We are
carry on?
being both or-
Well, I can see that style is, it's how you dress, and it seems like a big part of your life, the vintage
Yeah.
style.
I mean, I think the music and the art that you appreciate reflects in your style as well. And everything, cinema, books, magazines, different stuff, and the aesthetics. So I really like 30s, 40s clothes now, but I also like other styles of clothes, and I appreciate other people's styles from different eras, even like modern ones that are impressive in some kind of way.
Is that the way you dress also, like the style you're wearing like today? Is that the style you're wearing all the time, or is it that
These
sometimes?
days,
Yeah.
I mean, things change, but you go for it's like hats and shoes, and they've got a different flavor where you change that and it changes your whole outfit.
Actually, in Sweden, what I miss here in Sweden very much, I know you're over sometimes in Sweden, Natty, you're DJing over here, but I don't know, you must have noticed also that we don't use hats. And I think that's sad, because when I look at UK, I can see that so much more people using hats in different events and things. And in Sweden, we still have all these different kinds of events, but no one wears hats.
I think, not many people wear hats
Just
these
worldwide.
days, worldwide, really. I think, like if I'm DJing and I come out to dance, sometimes somebody will come up to me, "Can I try your hat on?" And I think, well, why do you want to try my hat on? Why don't you, if you like a hat, get a hat,
Yeah.
It's like they'll try the hat on and then they'll drop it on the ground and it get dirty or something like that,
To me, happens often just because I work in a vintage shop. That's one of the things I do. I have the pleasure of working in one of the oldest vintage shops in London. And often I wear a hat almost every day. And clients come in and they're like, "Oh, wow, I love your hat. I wish I could wear one." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you can. Just do it."
Yeah, maybe it's just to have the help of finding your
Yeah.
hat. It seems like it's such a personal thing.
Yeah.
So maybe sometimes it's that, if I go to myself, I love hats,
Yeah.
but I own a couple, but I don't use them because I think it's a bit of going out of your comfort zone. Sometimes it's when you
Maybe,
start to
yeah.
get used to a thing, you like break that fear of,
Yeah.
wear hats. Maybe we just need a little push.
Yes, yes. Well, I do understand the situation with the comfort zone because coming from Lisbon, where there was not much of a vintage clothing culture, I remember to when I always was fascinated by vintage clothes and old clothes, and I would rummage through my grandmother's old pieces. But there was a big connotation still in Lisbon in those years that I started to wear vintage about wearing second-hand clothes. So in the sense that is something that it's been used, is not vintage, is used, or like the connotation of like, oh, it's someone died and you're wearing something like dead people's clothes. There's still a bit of this, but much less these days. And I'm glad with that because I think that when you start to wear things for yourself more than for the others, Because to me nowadays, the way how I dressed is just, it ends up being an extension of how I feel or my personality, or yes, it is vintage, but I don't do it in like a purist way, or maybe sometimes I end up doing it in a purist way, but not in a conscious mode, because I like to mix things, and also it's like it has a lot to do with how I feel in that particular day. If I'm going to art exhibition, see like the realist exhibition or that is, I want to wear something that goes with that. Or if I'm going to dance, it's just, I have to feel it really. And then I think it's something that it takes a while for maybe to one person to get used to, get into these, lose the fear of just be yourself and just enjoy yourself and enjoy these beautiful old objects full of history. But anyway, that's my opinion.
Yeah, and I think it's so much more accepted today also, because when you say vintage, maybe secondhand, the word secondhand, well, at least here in Sweden, it's been more accepted.
Yeah.
And because of the environment, the world we are living in today also, that we need to take care of the world more. But vintage has also been so much more accepted, and it's a little bit of a art form also to find the pieces and all of it. And I was just thinking also about you, Natty, that I've seen you so much on Insta, and you are out there DJing, and also, and the music you're playing, maybe it even would look a little bit weird if you were wearing like the modern, like fashion. Your style goes with the music.
Yeah.
It's like a perfect, what should I say? If you put a hand in a glove, it's
but
like the perfect match.
I would say, as also because I'm a singer and performer, I sing Jamaican ska, but I don't wear like black wraparound glasses and a pork pie hat, which I appreciate that style, that ska style, but I'm not, I've got my own style, and that's flavored by other kinds of influences.
When you are on stage, and this goes to also both of you, what kind of audience do you feel most connected with when you are on stage?
I feel connected when I'm connected to when they're responding. Like if they're, if they're dancing, which mostly they are, then the audience give the musicians. If they give the musicians respond. We need the audience, and the response is better when the audience are more appreciative.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good answer, and it goes like two ways. Sara, I've seen on your Insta that you teach women vintage hairstyles.
Yes, that's right.
So what happened? I'm just thinking about those women that comes to you. What happens when they see themselves in the mirror?
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, it must be.
It is incredible sometimes. So I started to do hairstyling, vintage hairstyling, and practice on myself again, because when I lived in Lisbon, there was not much about it. There was not much happening. So I just decided to learn by myself, because I was always fascinated. I always wanted to have Rita Hayworth and Lauren Bacall's hairstyle, and I would go to a hairdresser and I would bring a photo and say, "Can you do something like this? How can I have the hair like this? How can?" And it would be always so disappointing. And then eventually I just started to, at the time when I was growing up and learning, there was no Instagram or YouTube channel, so it was quite hard.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually it started to appear some things, but it was like by I was just self-taught. And then I realized that I started to offer myself to be a model in a very old school saloon that existed in Lisbon. And then I realized that I was getting the right way. And why is that? Because these ladies were practicing like the roots, the real way of doing um of doing curls in the old way, so doing like by pin curls. And although they would have to teach that and practice, that was something they thought it was very old fashioned. But for me, that's what was bringing me there, because that's exactly what I wanted to achieve and learn. So that's when I started to do it. And then, because I was the only person doing it at the time, and more people were asking me to do it, I started the La Belle Bombshell project. And this was around 2008, 9, I can remember now. So at the time I was doing these workshops. I was teaching how to do hairstyling, vintage hairstyling. I was doing it. I was working with some theater, anyone who really needed and wanted to learn about these old techniques. And then when I moved to London, I just carried on doing it. So I do it still often in a lot of festivals, vintage festivals, or by appointment to weddings, or just someone who wants to have the hair done in a classic 1920s to 60s style. I can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that sometimes you use different, I don't know how you are teaching, but I've seen there are some other kind of tools, like when you're doing the
Yes.
curls and like
Yes. But sorry, I didn't reply
it's
your
another
question.
technique.
It is incredible, especially when I was doing the workshops. Someone that never had the hair done in a vintage style, the first reaction when they look in the mirror is just unbelievable. Because the hair is like so important, because basically it just sculpts your face. And is, to me, I did study 1 year of sculpture in fine art school, and for me it's a bit like sculpting with you sculpt with hair, and it just creates a whole different visual. And if you feel nice with your hairstyling, you just feel more confident, and and that's so important.
So if someone wants to join your classes, how do they? Is it on one specific salon you are working on, or
So yeah, I don't have
classes?
a physical space, because so nowadays in London I do it with my friend Meredith. She's been helping me since I moved to London. And we do travel a lot. We do vintage festivals. We will be at the Rhythm Riot, which is one of the best roots rock and roll and rhythm and blues festivals in the UK, in my opinion. And we travel, and we just have a saloon where we do it. When I'm in London, people just travel to us, or I can travel to them. But yes, so we have a Instagram page, which is La Belle Bombshell. And people can contact us through there.
I will put that link in the.
Thank you very much.
On Insta, yeah. Are you coming to Sweden?
I would love to go and do a workshop in Sweden. Yes.
Yes, you can do my hair. You can teach me.
Yes.
Well, Natty, your DJ sets are eclectic. You are playing from, as you said before, ska and reggae to calypso, hot jazz, swing, and New Orleans rhythm. How do you decide what to play when you are on a festival or something?
Well, it depends on the event. Like,
okay,
I have like only play vinyl or 78s, shellac 78s, and yeah, it is eclectic, and I collect a lot of Latin cumbia, merecumbe, poros gaitas, calypso, mento, jump blues, swing, gospel, rocksteady, reggae, ska, funk, soul. But it's like each kind of music has a dance and has a flavor to it. So it transports you to that place. And, you know, when you hit a spot, when it resonates with people and it touches their soul and they feel something, even the music they might not have ever heard before, and then they suddenly discover it. And that's amazing. And it's like, wow, what's this music? I don't know, but it's amazing. And it's making me dance, you know, that kind of thing.
So if I go to one of your sets on a festival and I can't dance, I mean, do you teach?
I don't teach, but I tend to kind of, if I put a record on, I'll come out and dance to it.
Yeah, I've seen that. So
yeah, because I mean, my thing is that I'll only play records that I can dance to. So, you know, I play vinyl, and, you know, in the modern day setting, people say, oh, what's your playlist or things like that. I don't have a playlist. I don't have a computer that I DJ with, or I haven't got every song at my fingertips. I've only got what I brought. So for me, that's good. I'm limited to what I brought, and I'm coaxing people into enjoying that music, whether they know it or they don't know it. And
is there one special song that always works?
Not really. I kind of try to gauge the audience, and I try different things, and then, you know, I try different things, and then when people suddenly get into it, you don't know why people suddenly start dancing, or they might dance from the onset, or it might be the wrong kind of crowd for that kind of music. You know, it depends on the where I'm DJing as well. If it's a club, like a basement club, like Gaz's Rockin' Blues, it's always, you know, people are always there and they're always dancing. But if it's like a corporate event, maybe people are there not to dance, but to socialize. So it's like background.
I saw you were actually playing on Notting Hill, the carnival.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, that's carnival is great because it's like an adrenaline thing. You know that you've got to scramble it for your records and find something that people are going to cheer to or go wild to. But at the same time, you don't want to be. In my mind, I want to play something that's popular but not too commercial sometimes. But will get people moving, and it has some, and it identifies with what it is, carnival. You know, with the history of carnival. And carnival is a very special place as an ideal, because, you know, it represents the bringing together of people, and it was started as a West Indian carnival. So in Notting Hill, that particular carnival, and I really do believe it broke through barriers and got people together, and that's why I will always support something like that.
Yeah, I saw you with the founder, Leslie Palmer. I think I saw
Leslie Palmer.
Palmer. I saw some on Insta with you, and he's the founder of the carnival.
He's the founder of the carnival from the early 70s. I think the original founder was Claudia Jones.
But it was a different format, maybe, as it is now.
As it is now, it's Leslie Palmer. But the beginnings of, like, say, when was it? In the late 40s, early 50s, I say, maybe, was the inklings of carnival, you know, from that perspective, from the Windrush generation.
I can see it when I'm watching the carnival. I can imagine the energy. It must be so many people, different people gathering, like on the streets. So it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Natty, you spoke about the shellac date records.
Yeah.
So what is the magic feeling about them compared to digital music, for example?
Well, for me, 78s, well, I rediscovered them. As a kid, I had some 78s, but they were kind of, but in the 70s, they were seen as, these old records from the gramophone. Mm. But as I got to understand more about recording and recording formats, it was always the 45s that were like the DJ records. But then I went discover more about 78s, and that they were wider and deeper grooves, and were recorded with less microphones, sometimes one microphone. And the only issue with the 78s is that they were brittle, delicate, and if you drop them, they would shatter into 1,000 pieces. And that's why vinyl came in, a form of plastic, because it was more durable. Although 78s, the sound, I think, is more exciting. All the levels, the bass, mid, and treble, tend to be right in the middle. Whereas on 45s, they're all different because they're all recorded in different studios and have different mastering. 78s tend to be in the middle. And when you play them through a modern sound system with decks that, play 78s, or needles or cartridges that play 78s, I noticed the change. I DJ'd in the East End of London for a while in a club where they play 45s and CDs. I brought some decks, played some 78s. The sound went boom, and people went crazy. It was like
wow.
Like the first time you hear Little Richard, it's just wild. And also 78s. A lot of recordings of 78s are still being discovered because a lot wasn't transferred onto albums or 45s. So there's still a lot of music that has been unheard to a general populace and international from all around the world.
Yeah. Do they produce those records nowadays, or it's like that time is over and you can just
our friends Kitty, Daisy and Lewis made a box set of 78s, but they were on vinyl, but they did make them 78. So yeah, and there was I heard about a group that made a jungle tune onto wax cylinder, which is before 78s. Okay. So that's like before the 20s. So like even Chopin recorded onto wax cylinder.
Wow. Yeah, because I'm thinking maybe that the technique doesn't exist anymore.
I think you can record the 78 speed, of course, and the depth. A bit like recording a 12-inch record, a 45 RPM 12-inch record had a deeper and wider groove as well. It's just, I think the knowledge about shellac, I don't know. Maybe there's somebody who does, but you don't really hear. Same like Bakelite. Bakelite, Sara has a lot of jewelry that's Bakelite. There's a lot of radiograms made out of Bakelite and various other things. But I think the recipe of Bakelite is either been lost or maybe something was carcinogenic in the making of it. So yeah. So maybe it's the health.
Yeah, it's a little bit sad when those old things die out with a generation sometimes, because the knowledge isn't passed, suddenly it's not modern anymore, and then the knowledge is lost.
Yeah.
When people die, and sometimes, as you're saying, maybe the recipes were never written down correctly, or they are just lost in the cold vintage stuff now. So it's a little bit sad.
That is something I quite appreciate about the fact, for instance, of wearing vintage or like to having vintage furniture, is that things were made and built to last. And the idea is that if there's something that needs fixed, you will go and you use a shoe repair, a seamstress, or a carpenter that will fix that object, garment, shoe, for you. So it's not only something that is good for the environment because it lasts, but it's also something that is perpetuating all these small arts and crafts and knowledge about fixing things that contrasts with a bit with this mindset of the world of today, which is all about fast food and fast fashion and IKEA furniture and everything that is like done just to be changed in the next season. So for me, that's the beauty as well of vintage and old things. Is that is they also connect us with more old human knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's so important that the vintage remains, that we keep that knowledge also.
Absolutely.
But Nat, you're also an artist. Tell us about your Escape Ladder art exhibition and how visual art connects with your music.
I've always made art since I started making art. I went to art college I applied to art college when I was 17. And it kind of, art really saved me from where the environment from where I grew up. I didn't really enjoy the area where I grew up. And it was same with, this is something to do with self-expression again, is that art enabled me to express myself before I was able to express myself with clothing or singing or dancing. It was the first thing. And then I got to art college and I moved out of that area and exploded. It was like my own personal experiment had come into fruition. I had now found this new kind of freedom, but also like Sara, I was a bit like at first a bit worried about showing too much of my expressiveness because of fear of being attacked or, verbally or physically. But then as I got more comfortable, I dropped that and I decided, no, I'm just going to do it my way. And I drew and painted oils and start a little bit of sculpture and did a lot of portraits, landscapes, some surrealistic kind of works, some abstractions from the paintings, but mostly from really looking at things in front of me and trying to make marks and really look more than making the marks, like really absorb. And I do sometimes draw paint from photographs, but I find it's less meaningful than when I draw paint from real things. And that's another reflection I think about in music and everything. Is a connection. And now what I paint, the escape ladder, leading to the escape ladder, is I came up with this idea that I'm painting the perfume of the sea. So I'm trying to capture the smell and the feeling of what I'm looking at, as opposed to the accuracy of it. So I draw, paint something in the given time that I have the energy to draw and paint it. And then if I do have energy to go back and carry on, which I would hope, or I just leave it as it is.
I think it's beautiful that when you explain that you started with art because that was a kind of escaping the area you were living in. I've heard that in my other interviews also. I think it's quite interesting that people that we use to create to feel better. Maybe sometimes when the area or the surroundings, you can come from a family relationships that is bad, or you live in an area that is bad, but that we can still find the beauty of creating.
Yeah.
And that world becomes our inner world and we can express it.
Yeah.
But also the growth in creating that, maybe in the first we are a bit scared about what other people are thinking, but we grow into it and then we bloom. So it's such a beautiful process, and it's so interesting to hear also how the passion can save us in some ways. So it's so interesting to hear your story behind it. The thing you're telling now about the fragrance, and I can't wait to see those paintings. So such a new way of seeing paintings, like using the smells and more the senses in that creating process. But I know you have a webpage, nattybo.space.
Yeah.
So what's that, and
well,
why did you create it?
I'm not great at technological stuff with computers, but I did get together a website, although I haven't really uploaded much of the artwork. There's a bit of my artwork on there.
Maybe you have to now.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I would love to see more. I've been in there and looking, but I would love to see more. Your life has stepped into vintage style. How does that shape your daily routines, not just performances? I'm thinking about Sara, you doing the hair. It's more of a lifestyle. So what is it different from someone who hasn't that lifestyle, the modern lifestyle, do you think?
I don't know. It's just maybe in my point of view, my life is just surrounded by beautiful aesthetic things.
I'm so jealous of you. If you knew.
I don't know really, but I don't know. It's more in the sense that for us, it's like these beautiful things we collect and that bring us joy daily. And it's a way of preserving these memories and these beautiful shapes and colors. But also, I don't know, like often we go and see old films that we like. We love cinema, both of us. And we often go to, although we also love to go see new films that are out now, but there's so many amazing films from that are kind of forgotten, or even just beautiful classics that often are shown. So we go often to the British Film Institute or to the Cinema Museum that is just like about 10-minute walk from our house, and they do amazing nights there themed that we try to support the most we can. Would be this passion for vintage would be reflected by the music we hear, which is mostly, well, although different genres, it tends to be mostly maybe at least 1970s. I don't know, even that we like different genres of music. Like I grew up listening to punk music as well. I love, like, you know, like the Slits and Extra Respect. I was a big fan, and I still am. But I don't know. We love to listen blues and rhythm and blues. We listen every day, or cumbia or mambo. So it would be through the music, through the cinema, through, I don't know what you have to add to that, Natty.
Dancing.
From dancing, exactly, which is a big part of our lives as well. We love to dance. And even I don't know, visiting art galleries and seeing exhibitions. I'm always looking out what's coming to. In London, it's such a privileged city to live in that sense, because there's always so much to see, and like just now this month coming is there will be 2 amazing exhibitions. Lee Miller, which is a photographer that I really like, is going to have a major exhibition at the Tate Britain. And there's also it's been there as well, Edward Burrough and Ethel Kulkon, which is one of the first female surrealists from the 30s. So I don't know. I think it just connects. It's not that we deny the modern world, because we are involved in it, but maybe it's just that, and also we have to have our feet in the times we live, like through how we connect with the others and politically and everything, and we have to be aware of what's going on. But it's just that we appreciate more the aesthetics and the forms of older stuff, but not necessarily just, if it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know when I grew up that on every Sunday in Sweden, there were these black and white old movies. And it's sad a bit that it's gone lost. Nowadays, you have to look for it. And I think sometimes to my children, I have 2 sons, that it's a little bit sad because they don't grow up with those memories, like because the acting was different, the way of shooting a movie were different. It was so different from nowadays, and again, it gets lost a little bit from generations to generations.
Yeah.
And I think we can learn lots about, at least in the creative way, the different ways of creating back then. What do you think the younger generation can learn from the music and fashion and like spirit from the past?
Well, above all, is an inspiration. And I do think, and been working with fashion for like half of my life now, but vintage fashion, it's very interesting to see how it keeps being revived, and it always goes in circles through revival tendencies. Like nowadays, like maybe the kids like in their 18, 19s are really into the 90s, which for me is just the memory around the corner. But it's I think it's cyclic, because there was always these revival movements in the 1960s. There was a big revival of the 1920s, and in the 1980s there was a big revival of the 1940s, not only just in fashion but in terms of cinema, with neo-noir and music, like the neo-rockabilly or all these neo-swing. So I think it's just cyclic. History is cyclic, and so eventually it just it will just be inspirational thing, I guess.
But you both live like rich artistic lives. What would you say has been your biggest creative risk so far, where you might have stepped out of your comfort zone?
To me personally, was the biggest creative risk was definitely when I created co-created the Caixo de Cabaret back in 2007 in Lisbon, in a city that was not used to and didn't know much about burlesque and vintage fashion and revival and music. So that was my biggest, I would say. And personal terms was, leave my Lisbon behind and move to London 11 years ago. And just kind of start from the beginning here, because I feel like in Lisbon I had a bit my place there, in the sense that this project I used to do, it was quite popular, and the fact when I created the Label Bombshell as well was like the first. So I was involved in the first burlesque troupe happening in Lisbon, and the first vintage hairstyling project And I was also I did help a little bit the Lindy Hop scene there with swing dancing, because I was very passionate by the dance and I really wanted to learn more. So I learned about this American lady that had moved to Portugal and she was living in Porto. And I connected with her, and then I really wanted to have classes, so I put together a first initial group of people to learn, and she started to come to Lisbon and teach. So basically, I feel like I kind of earn a little bit my place in the vintage community back in Lisbon. And when I moved here, I just had to, to find my way here a bit. But I moved for love, so I don't regret it. And nowadays I have a lot of friends, and I kind of managed to bring a little bit my passions and my projects to London. So that was the biggest risk I had, yeah.
If you would design your dream project together with no limits, what would it be?
Well, sometimes we did Natty's been doing music since ever. And he supported me a few times with my burlesque acts by creating some music. And we did kind of perform together sometimes in terms of, so I have a film noir act. There's an homage to film noir that Natty helped me create.
We could make a film noir, that's it. Something we could do together.
But it's more, I would say more than a creative project, would be more a personal project. I think it's just amazing to be able to do what we love in terms of music and performing and sharing this love for vintage and music and dance and cinema and everything, and travel. We love to travel. So I think that's always a nice thing to think that we will be able to carry on traveling and meeting people from all over the world, which we have friends all over the world, I would say, that share the same love that we share for vintage and cinema and music.
Well, it's been lovely to have you on. I feel like I could talk to you forever.
Oh, thank you, Malin.
Just so much passion. I was going to say we will see you soon, because I know I will talk to you more.
Oh,
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Malin.